Hey Sharks members and fans, we're sitting here today with Tommy from Find Your Feet. I'm a very proud ambassador for the work he does. We've got mental fitness round this weekend coming against the Melbourne Storm, second year running. So we're going to do a little workshop here with Tommy with what he does around at schools and helping out young men's life, so and women, but in particular men. So yeah, looking forward to the chat and hand it over to you, Tommy.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited about being able to have this opportunity that Nicho and the Sharks have created. I'm really looking forward to being able to do this. You know, they're uncomfortable, they're hard, they're all those things that conversations are, but that's a huge part of Find Your Feet, is giving people the opportunity to get uncomfortable. I guess I always give an insight into Find Your Feet and why I started it. I met a champion young bloke called Bastian Mardrell, Tiwi Island boy living down in Camden. He was playing rugby league, Camden Rams, got hit in the thigh one day, and next day went to the doctor. Doctor said, "Mate, you're a genius, you should be a doctor. It's a cork, you'll be right." That went on for weeks and weeks and weeks until eventually his mum said, "Look, we're not leaving until you give us a bit more insight into what's going on here. Like, it's got to be more than a cork." And they did some scans and it came up that he had Ewing sarcoma, really aggressive form of cancer. He was 15 and a half, and they really bluntly said, "You've probably got 4 to 6 months to live." When I met him, I was a fully functioning lunatic, egomaniac, probably functioning alcoholic. It was all about me. I was a victim. I followed the crowd. Bass was his own man. He did his own thing. He held his mates accountable, and he was just a genuine, honest, solid young bloke. And I remember when the first time I saw that, I had a moment where I found my own feet. I went, "Geez, like, I need to pull my head in here." And anyway, he passed about 6 months later, and it was the day that he passed, I guess his mum told me the story. She said, "Tommy, Bass passed this afternoon. He got out of bed this morning and he just said, 'Mum, can you bring my sisters in? I want to say goodbye.'" It was 4 days after his 16th birthday, and he said to his sisters goodbye, and he told them, "I'm going on a journey. I will see you again one day." And just this incredibly wise, mature young fella, making it easier for his sisters. And then he said to his mum and dad, "I want to touch the earth with my feet one more time," and they got him out of bed. And I tell this story 1,000 times, and still the strength of this young man blows me away. He just said, "Mum, Dad, tell my mates to love life and don't waste it." And when his mum Claire rang me and told me that story, I remember it was late in the afternoon. I'd probably already had 8 or 9 beers. My beautiful little kids were running around and being little kids, and I was yelling at them for the noise they were making. I was arguing with my wife, and I just remember thinking, I'm not loving life, I'm wasting it. And I'm not wasting it or not loving it because I've had these huge traumas. I'm wasting it because I'm being weak and I'm being lazy and I'm not owning my shit and I'm not stepping up. So Bass gave me a moment to find my feet. And so that's what I've been doing now, running around the country doing that for 6 years with the help of legends like Nicho, Mitch Marsh, Matty Hayden, Luke Lewis. We've got this incredible amount of ambassadors that are helping us spread the message. So that's why I call it Find Your Feet. I think the biggest part of Find Your Feet, I think it's really easy to be able to walk into a room, and ask people like how they're going. Like if I was asked you, Ronnie, how you going? How are you, mate?
Yeah, a bit confronting.
Yeah, but if I say to you, how are you?
Yeah, good.
Good. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, good. But if I say like, how are you really going? Yeah, good. Why? Like, why are you being nosy? We struggle with that next question. And another big thing that young people struggle with, and I probably can put it to you guys, is 2 lines that we try to do with Find Your Feet, is like turning around this culture of don't dog your mates and take risks, right? Like if I was to say to you guys, don't dog your mates, what does it mean?
Yeah, don't talk about them really. Don't say, things they've done to other people. Just
like that.
That's what I'd say.
Yeah.
Or if like they're struggling or something, like they don't try and tell them. They just sort of stay back and keep it to themselves and keep it to their friend group.
Yeah, I love that. What do you reckon, Nicho?
No, just don't snitch on them, really.
Yeah, snitches get stitches, that's a huge one. And what do you reckon, Ronnie?
Yeah, just like loyalty, anything to do with loyalty, I can't stand with people.
Yeah, young people say that, like snitches get stitches, you keep to yourself, you stay out of it. And I give them a great example of a guy, Jay McDermott, that I went to high school with. I remember one day walking to school, all the boys said, "How are you?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good, went down the footy club on the weekend, got on the beers, played up, rock roofs in Churgan, it was awesome." And I remember just having this really good feeling because I'd got a bit of a laugh out of the boys, except for one bloke who stuck around and he said, "Hey, how you actually going, Tommy? Because that sounds like crap. Mate, you live in Chugan, you're rocking roofs, you said you wrote off your mum, she's going through shit." And I remember thinking that was my first mate that didn't dog me. It was my first mate that called me out on poor behaviour. And to do that, he took a risk. Because I could have gone, you know what, mate, I'm not interested, piss off. Because it was a challenge, it was hard. So a big thing with Find Your Feet is going around and turning around. I say to a room like, have you got a mate? And it'd be great for you guys to think about it. Have you got a friend who does hold you accountable, who does pull you up? Because that's what a good mate's going to do. If they're not pulling you up, if they're not holding you accountable, they're actually dogging you. And to do that, we've got to take a risk. We're going to do an activity now that I do with young people, and it's simply going to be, we're going to find our feet. At any stage in your life, at school, at home, growing up, ever been in trouble at all? At any stage in your life, been in trouble? Find your feet if you've ever said anything to offend anyone. Stay standing if you reckon you might have said something to offend someone in the last, say, 6 months. Stay standing if you reckon you might have offended someone in the last 7 days. Stay standing if after you said that to that person, you offended them, you walked away going, geez, I wish I didn't say that. Or you regretted what you said. Stay standing if you wished you didn't say it. Stay standing if you didn't take the opportunity to, or you haven't taken an opportunity to go up and say, hey, sorry if I said some words to you, sorry if I offended you. Stay standing or take a stand if you think that's a skill that we've got to get better at as humans, owning our behaviour and apologising to others for how we treat them. Find your feet if in your life you've ever lost someone close to you. Stay standing if you had the opportunity to say goodbye. Stay standing if you have moments where you think about that person and you might get a bit emotional on it. Stay standing if you reckon you give yourself enough time in those moments to sit and sit with those emotions. Find your feet if you ever experience anxiety. Stay standing if you say, you know what, Tommy, you've probably experienced anxiety once or twice in the last 6 months. Stay standing if you say, you know what, I've probably experienced it once or twice in the last week. Stay standing, be super honest if you say, you know what, Tommy, it's probably a part of my daily, like my life, just of a day I experience anxiety at some stage. And then stay standing or take a stand if you reckon you could put one word to what anxiety feels like for you. Yeah, I'd love to hear. Ronnie, for you, what one word?
Yeah, probably just lonely, like.
Suffocating.
Suffocating.
I didn't say alone as well.
Alone.
Yeah, scary, I reckon.
Yeah, scary. Yeah, I'd say fear for me. Stay standing if one of those other words that one of the other players said you could relate to. Stay standing if you've got a bit of a feeling like, geez, I'm not the only one that experiences anxiety. Stay standing if you reckon it normalises it a little bit more for you and makes you accept it a little bit more. Find your feet if you've got someone in your life who holds you accountable. Stay standing if you've got someone in the team, in your team, that holds you accountable. Stay standing if you've ever had like a heated moment with them, a heated argument where they've confronted you about a behaviour or something that's been going on for you.
Ronnie? Me and Ronnie?
Yeah, me and Nicho.
Yeah, give us an idea on why, Nicho, for you, Ronnie.
Yeah, like we're obviously two very different people, come from two different backgrounds, both had some hard upbringings, and it's about the understanding of each other, and at some point we didn't get that right, and he actually sat me down, we sat down and had some real honest conversations about how we felt about each other, and and what works for each other as well, not just negative stuff. So
Wow.
we've come a long way
Yeah.
in the last 3 years that we've known each other, and honestly, I love him to death now for it.
Yeah.
But as soon as you said that, we looked at each other and we go, we're the only. And anytime I've messed up, first person to come and tell me, pull my head in, shows that it's not just words or lip service.
Yeah.
When the times get tough, even during games, we look at each other and we're like, oh, we got each other's back. So
Yeah.
it's brought our relationship far,
Yeah.
and made me understand so much about him and what he does, not only for myself, but my teammates as well.
Mate, awesome.
We probably didn't understand how each other work in feedback, and you know, I'm probably someone who likes to be cuddled and loved a little bit more, where you know you can probably give Ronnie a spray and he'll be like, yeah, sweet, you know, and
Yeah.
it's just about learning how each other work, and then building the trust to have honest conversations. And I think that's what team environments build on, and that's how you become a competitive rugby league team, or whatever team you play for, sport you do. Be able to have honest conversation builds a really good culture to be around. And yeah, we just sort of had to sit down with each other and just tell each other how we feel, and then moving forward, you know what, when something's happened, I'm going to come to you and give you honest feedback, and you come to me, and that's what men do.
Yeah.
And for us to be able to do that now, and it's created more of a love relationship that we have with each other, and that wouldn't have happened unless we had honest, tough conversations, and you know, that's what this is all about.
I feel like we're a club that's pretty, you know, open and honest. We can go to a lot of people about how we're feeling with certain things, but even just standing up then, like, you know, you probably don't know that any of these three have had anxiety feelings or been feeling bad in the last, you know, even 7 days, like you said.
Yeah.
So just opens your eyes to, you need to probably do check in on people that you care about,
Yeah.
like regularly, not just when they're having bad days, or it seems like they're having bad days.
I love that, and I love what you said. We don't know, like you didn't know you're surprised with the 7 days. Like I saw you were emotional on one of them, and it sort of carried through to them. Which
Yeah.
one for you was a tough one, or?
In 2023, I lost my best mate in a car accident. I was playing football. And I literally messaged him on the Saturday. He went pig chasing and lost control of his buggy and died on impact. And I literally rang him about 3 days before to tell him I got my NRLW contract, which he was there when I had my back injury. A back injury that obviously then had a massive effect on me, and wasn't sure if I was able to play football again. And when I got my NRLW contract, I was like, yeah, I'm playing for Sharks. And he was like, I'll be there for your first game. And when I played my second game of Harvey's, and he was originally going to come down for round 3 for Harvey Norman just to watch me play and cheer. And yeah, when he had that accident, then I didn't find out. I actually got knocked out in the Bulldogs game, and we're at a team bonding night with the girls, and I got a text message from one of my friends saying, oh, like, how you going, mate? Like, how's everything? And I was like, yeah, good. Like, I got knocked out, but I'm sweet. And he was like, oh no, have you heard about him and heard from him? And I was like, oh no, why, what's going on? And he said, like, he's no longer with us. And I just went into shock, and I just dropped to my knees, and all the girls were there, and they were all shocked too, because they had no idea what was going on. And I just was, yeah, like I was just speechless. I couldn't get a word out. Yeah, it's always been quite hard, because going back home, like, we would always go pig chasing, or we'd always go and do like something, or go fishing. And yeah, it's always been quite hard going back home, and I've actually sort of avoided going home because of it. So yeah, it's been tricky, and I thought I was actually okay until you sort of said, have you sort of dealt with those emotions? And then it sort of just all like hit me, all the flashbacks of like our friendship and stuff. And I was like, I actually wouldn't be able to say to someone how genuine of a good person he is without breaking down.
How often do you get to talk like you just did then, and talk about your friend that you lost?
I don't really like crying in front of people. Like, I just felt safe. I felt like the boys would have me no matter what. And
Yeah.
I felt like I know that they're not going to judge me in any way, shape or form.
It just shows that we have an inclusive space here. Obviously, it's not, Rhiannon doesn't really, you know, associate with the three of us on a daily basis. And, you know, for her to have the confidence to speak out about something that's clearly really, you know, personal, and it's taken a toll on her at some point in her life. I think it shows, that we do have a safe space in these walls, and we encourage people that are going through things like that to open up to us.
Getting into these environments and talking about things that hurt us, I think you should be really proud of yourself, and it gives you that comfortability around us, and it opens up that new space for us to go up and have an open conversation about how you're really doing, or in our day-to-day lives when we see each other here and there, and checking in on each other.
I'm so stoked, Rhiannon, you gave us that story. Like, I just love seeing the change in people. Like, they're all, and we call it at Find Your Feet, like washing your laundry. There's an awful saying that says, oh, you shouldn't air your laundry in front of people, but I always say to young people, like, what happens if we don't? All of our stuff we're dealing with, we go home and we literally, like, with dirty clothes, we throw them on the laundry floor, and if we never wash them, they pile up, and it's like our emotions. If we never deal with them, eventually we get to the point where we go, I can't deal with this anymore, and that's where we're losing so many people. But what I love as well, you said, like, being able to talk with it, you feel better, and we can't ever solve what you've experienced, but just that ability to be there as a group and listen is a simple tool. And the next time that it comes across your head or your heart, you've got the ability to know that, oh, last time I spoke on it, I just felt a little bit better. So yeah, I'm really grateful that you shared. Love to, one more before we sort of wrap it up with Tommy, or one for you guys that you sort of stood up on, or.
Yeah, I sort of a similar thing. Lost a good friend of mine at the back end of last year to cancer. You never think it'll happen to someone that you know like that, right? And found out pretty quickly that, she'd taken a turn and wasn't going to be okay. And, we were at a wedding a fortnight before that, and although she was unwell, still sort of happy and not healthy, but, just still doing things she loved to do. And, we had the opportunity to actually say goodbye. The thing that sort of hurt me the most was she kept, the first thing she said when we got there was how sorry she was for putting us through it. And I just thought, like, can you say that, you know what I mean? Like, here you are, like, been fighting this for so hard, and you're worried about how everyone feels, and when you had to leave the room and, give one last kiss on the head and let go of her hand and know you're never going to see her again was the worst thing I've ever been through, and I won't forget that for the rest of my life. The hardest thing for me at the time was, obviously, it was my partner's best friend, so trying to be the strong one for her was not my job, but it's what I felt like I had to do. So there was times where I was sort of overcome with, you'd hold it down for a while and then have a moment where you'd think or remember, and all the emotions would come out at once. And I did have a lot of mates that would send me a message and make sure I was doing all right, but trying to stay strong for other people, and which is sort of in our nature, I guess. We try to show we're doing all right, and I need to be better at when things aren't going well for me, speaking up about them. Yeah.
Did you guys know that about Tommy, that's the experience?
I knew about, he went to the wedding, and I ended up finding out she sadly passed away. Like, I didn't know how close they all were, and listening to it, I feel like a bit annoyed at myself for not being there for Tommy through that period.
I had no idea that Tommy was going through that, and never really have the opportunity to sit down and just be like, hey, like, how's everything actually going? And definitely will be doing that in the future.
I love that. There's a line I always use with sporting teams, but I guess anyone really, is when we know what's going on for someone off the field, we play better on it. Like, I've always admired you, Tommy, being from Goulburn, hard town, and I just love the way you hold yourself as a fella, the way you speak, the way you talk about your partner, something that I really love, and Nicho's commended me before about that, which I really love. I think as men we need to do more of that, and I think you're an awesome role model, and I feel really blessed to be able to be in the room and to be able to hear that. What's one word to describe sort of how you're feeling after doing that little thing just then, like hearing honestly from Tommy and Rhiannon on something they've experienced?
Proud that we have a place like this to be able to, say things like that. We have a platform like yours to be able to get more of this out of people. Sometimes
you need these reminders. You get so caught up in our lives. Yeah. You just forget about other people's shit, and you just think internally, and it's just nice, good reminder to think about someone else other than yourself.
Normally people say, I don't want to be a burden, this is my issue, not theirs. I don't want to be seen as weak. I want to put like Rhiannon and Tommy on the spot, if I can one more time, like in the spotlight, and I'd love to think we can rewrite what it means to be able to have a conversation as a Sharks player or just a Sharks member of the family. Does anyone think like Rhiannon should be embarrassed about, you know, the story she shared? What should she feel?
You know, a bit of weight off her shoulders.
Yeah.
You know, a bit relieved.
Well, it's important to one, and it's important to all of us here at the Sharks.
I always explain to people the reason we're scared to talk about it is because we all sort of grew up with, just got to get on with it, harden up, you know, you'll be right, push through it. I think we all do need to get on with things, but what I noticed when you were telling your story, and when you were telling your story, everyone was listening, actively listening. So you are getting on with things, but you're doing it with a team around you, which I think is really important. After hearing these guys speak and after doing the sitting up and standing, like to finish this off, Tommy, like how are you feeling after maybe even saying that we've found our feet?
It's good to know that we have people around here, you know, like Ron and Nicho, who are huge advocates for this sort of stuff, and also like we have safe spaces around here to be able to open up to people if there is something going on, and feels like a weight off the shoulders. I'm just happy we have a place around here and people around here that we can open up to.
For me, it's my ego that gets in the way, and so when I'm in these vulnerable spaces and I'm putting that aside, like I said, it's a good reminder for myself and my teammates in that for what's important in life.
I felt more like connected, even though that we don't see each other every day, but when, you know, we do cross paths, I'll be able to, you know, have a conversation with them and, yeah, call them out on their shit if if they're giving me stuff, you know. Genuinely just feel connected with the guys and appreciate them allowing me to be here as well.
Yeah, look, we spoke a bit about then, like, you might feel like a burden, but when people think it's a burden on other people, it's not. Like, it's really not at all. And I think if someone says it is a burden, they've got the issue, not you, you know. And something about a space where you sit all together and, you know, you create the space really well that you feel like you can open up and we can stand up and we can walk tall and be proud of who we are and what we go through. And because of that, now we have a deeper connection and hopefully we can spread that through the whole Sharks. And yeah, I'm just really proud and refreshed to be able to sit here with a great bunch of people and talk about something that means so much to me. If your role models are sitting here, you know, if you love any of these three or myself that can sit here and stand and talk about our feelings, and why can't you? You know, you're not a burden, and you know, you just feel like you can talk to people because everyone around here loves you and appreciates you for who you are. So yeah, speak to that person and be comfortable doing it.
There we go. It's a good moment.
Boy.